Today, I'm sitting down with Stef Fournier, who's a powerhouse in personal branding and photography. Stef just doesn't take pictures. She brings out that true essence of who you are, boosting your confidence and helping you attract your soulmate clients. With over 20 years of experience in marketing, design, and coaching, Stef combines strategy with creativity to transform your brands from the inside out. She's a certified NLP coach and hypnotist, which means she helps entrepreneurs not only look their best, but also breaks through mindset barriers that might be holding them back. Now, if you're curious about how Stef stays so connected while working from home, I want you to check out the different technology tools she uses, proving that being an entrepreneur at home just doesn't have to feel isolating. Stef is someone you want to learn from in my series on success tips for entrepreneurs working from home, and that's why I'm delighted to interview her today. I'm Gale Bates, and I've been an entrepreneur working from home for over 20 years, and I specialize in helping busy entrepreneurs navigate the challenges of overwhelm and time management in running a successful business from home in today's fast-paced business world. So in this ongoing series, I'm diving deep into proven strategies and systems tailored specifically for home-based business owners just like you. So I'd love you to take a minute to subscribe to the channel. And of course, don't forget to hit the bell so you can be notified when I upload more of these types of videos. Here's my great interview with branding coach, Stef Fournier. Enjoy. Welcome, Stef. Really glad to have you here today. Welcome and thanks so much for joining the Success Tips for Entrepreneurs Who Work From Home. And I'm thrilled to have you share your insights and your experiences with our audience today. So let's get stuck into the questions, okay?
Sure.
Always love to start off with your daily routine and what that really looks like for you working from home. If you've got any rituals or things that you do, okay, kind of walk us through what your typical day looks like.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm an ADHD entrepreneur. So I'm very scatterbrained. So the routine is a little bit of what I feel like, but I find that what's working for me mostly right now is like a little bit of a slow into my day. I used to just want to like run downstairs and jump into my office, which I'm sitting in right now. But really, I'm finding it's nice to just take my dog for a car ride. We often just go for a short walk, grab a coffee. That's really been working well for me because that's kind of where my brain just gets into this nice trancy state and starts to think about like how the day is going to go. It's often like if I have a coaching client or somebody that I'm going to work with, that's usually where my thoughts kind of start to formulate. And then I come back home, I jump into my office and I start the day, usually with a little bit of like social media interactions, emails. And then by then I'm usually up to the schedule of working with some sort of client. So that's kind of, I'd say like, not a huge routine, but it kind of seems to be just a nice way of getting the day going. Obviously, take my vitamins and get ready for the day is in there as well. But for the most part, that seems to be a good routine.
We have a very similar way of getting started.
I love that.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. It's just getting that feeling of being able to sit down at your desk and ready to go, right? But building up to that and what is going to be happening for you, right? Do you write things down in a planner or do you have a online planner that you work from?
I typically have kind of just my notebook. It's like a general scratch notebook. Yeah. And a lot of times I will go through that notebook and just see what's on my to-do list. I'm also I run a mastermind, but one of my mastermind members runs a side accountability group. So we often just post, this is what we're working on for the day. And then by the end of the day, we just check off whatever we did. It's just a way of checking in with each other and being like, hey, I'm going to get some stuff done today. So it's kind of a little bit of a mix. I've got my own list, and then that's just the list that we put out to each other for the week. So it's a little bit of both.
That's so valuable. So it's a check-in every day?
Yeah, well, Monday to Friday or the days that you're working. So I typically work mostly Tuesday to Friday. Monday is my CEO day. So that's sometimes I work, sometimes I don't. Yeah. So you just check in on the days that you're going to get some work done. It's quite nice. Yeah. It
Yeah.
started casual, but now it's just like kind of a go-to routine thing, which works really well for all of us who work from home.
That's a fantastic daily routine, having someone to check in with and get things done. Then you have to get it done, right?
Yeah, yeah, because you told somebody that you're going to get it done. So you're like,
Yeah.
I better get this done. Even though there's like no judgment if you don't get it done, which is just the fact that you put it out to like five other people. By the
Yes.
end of the day, you're like, oh,
Yes.
needed to get
Yeah.
that done. It kind of keeps you in your office a little bit longer.
I know. Now, is this your one that you run, or is this one of your partners?
So it's technically the people in it are my mastermind members. However, I don't run it. I'm technically participating in it. It's
Right.
just one of my mastermind members was like, I need accountability. So she started it up. And so it happens to be the same people. Not all of them, but just some of us, but I participate in this one as well. So
Oh,
it's kind of like an offshoot.
I love, yeah, I'm big on accountability. Yeah, I know. It really helps you get things done, doesn't it?
It really does. Yeah. Like even with my mastermind's bi-weekly. So we do a 2 week check-in accountability at the start, and then we do like a checkout at the end. So I've always been somebody who is a little bit more self-accountable. So I like my lists and all that kind of thing, but it's been really nice to just throw it out there to somebody else. And then same for my mastermind members. They like just having that I've written this down, I've told people about it, and they're more likely to get it done for that reason,
That's
right? So
really powerful, especially as an entrepreneur working from home. That's what this is
yeah,
all about, is
exactly.
being your own boss and having that accountability. I love it. I love it. I'm looking at your beautiful workspace. Okay. Tell me about it. Okay. How have you set your office up for maximum productivity? And, it just looks lovely.
Oh, thank you. So obviously you're only seeing a piece of it. But I'm a coach. So I've got my typical coaching shelf that we always do, right? We got our books on it. So behind me is a shelf of like all my resources. So we've got like my training manuals and things I use for coaching. This is my custom purse. And then just some like energetic stuff. So there's like my cards and stuff and all the books that I love for business. And then, so my space is set up too in a very personal brand supportive way where you see lots of purple. I'm wearing purple. So that sets me up for success just in meetings like this where people kind of recognize it. And then I'm a big astrology nerd. So like I have this I'm just tilting my screen. So we have like this galaxy that's painted on my wall. So just kind of, I feel like one of the most successful things about this space is it just brings people back to who I am and my brand, right? And then
Right.
it's not a huge space, but you can't see it. But to my left is a nice comfy chair. So I do see some clients in person. So they come hang out in that chair. And
Right.
then and then even just the positioning of my office, my face is facing a window for nice lighting. So all those things kind of set me up just to make sure that I look and feel good when I'm showing up on things like the screen. And then if I'm recording any reels or even some photography, I will use the same background so that people see that, right? And then it is a very spacious desk. So to my right, I've got like all my notebooks. Like you always see a pile of notebooks here. It's just nice, easy access to everything. I've got a whole bunch of sticky notes right in front of me that just gives me like all my inspirational stuff. So yeah, and then lastly, she would hate me if I didn't make a note, but there's a dog bed behind me.
Oh,
Because my dog is in my lap right now. Actually, she's just a tiny dog, so it just
yeah.
works a little bit for all of us, right?
I love it. So you've totally set up your office for your brand, and because you are, a branding expert, and all of what you have around you surrounds you kind of. I love that. It's wonderful. It's
Yeah,
exciting.
thank you. It's very intentional. I think offices should be intentional.
I think that's really important. I am similar as setting things up intentionally to help you be more productive. And that's exactly what you've done. But not only be productive, you've really set yours up for creativity.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, how could you not be creative in that space?
Right? Yeah, you got a galaxy behind you. How could you not be inspired, right?
Okay, let's talk a little bit about time management. How do you manage your time effectively to like balance your work and your personal life?
Yeah, I would say that's probably like A lot of people are looking for the right answer for that one. For me, it's always just there's a certain amount of time that I dedicate to being in the office and getting stuff done. That's why I'm a little bit more specific on the days that I work. So I schedule my coaching sessions, for example, specifically on Tuesdays and Thursdays right now, so that I know that those are days I'm going to be in the office. And then I space them so that I know that in between, it's just enough time to maybe work on some of my own stuff. Mm-hmm. And then when it comes to everything else, I need to be feeling into it in order to get stuff done. So usually by the end of the week, there's a certain amount of things I want to get done. I'm pretty good at motivating myself to go back into the office if something isn't done. But if I told you my secret was time blocking or anything like that, I'd be lying, because I am definitely either like super squirrely and doing a whole bunch of things at once, or I can hyper focus and get like 3 hours worth of work done. So I very much rely more on my lists of getting things done rather than necessarily the time of it. I've tried all the like timers and everything, and all of that just stresses me out, because it's like you got to kind of ride the wave, right? I know that doesn't work for everybody. I'm pretty work motivated, so right? I can get stuff done.
Yeah, I mean, what really works for you, for yourself? That's what you have to figure it out, because there are all these things. Like for me, it's the Pomodoro. I love just sit for 25 minutes. That's my max, without then getting up and being able to walk around and do something and come back and do another 25 minutes. But I love you're working specifically from your to-do list, right? Yeah. That's how it works for you to get things done. And I think everybody manages their time differently. And I think I love to hear how each person does that. Okay. So what are your challenges? What do you think is the biggest challenge that you face working from home as an entrepreneur? Anything specific come to mind?
Oh, 100% my dog. She is so needy. That's actually if you look through my brand, you'll see my dog quite often. And people are like, oh, like, is that a good thing to include in your personal brand? And I am like, yes, because she will like scratch. Like I had a client in my office yesterday, and she's like scratching at the cabinets because she wants attention. She'll do that on calls. Most of the time, I just hear it. A lot of times other people don't hear it. Or maybe she just wants to go outside, right? So she's literally my biggest distraction. Uh-huh. And I have to build it into my personal brand, because if you're not a dog person, that might bug you, right? And so all my clients know that maybe I have to take a second to let the dog out or something, or just deal with it. Or if they are in my office, then they know that she's going to be here, right? But on the flip side, she's also the one who gets me out of my chair. So if it weren't for her, I might just sit too long and like just keep working. So she kind of is like, in a way, the one to get me out. But she's 100% my biggest distraction. My husband doesn't work from home, but if he comes home early, that can be distracting. Other than that, I'm not too distracted with the everyday stuff. Like I could go do something else. I like being in the office, but it's just like, even just like kids playing, because I am in a home office, I find that sometimes super distracting. Like if a kid's playing basketball, like right outside the door, you're like, right. So, or like on Tuesdays, the landscapers come and it's like they cut the grass, right? So it's like, those are the challenges I find that you wouldn't have if you were in like an office building, right?
Right, exactly. Being at home is a little different. Yeah.
Right?
You're a photographer. Do you use your dog in a lot of your photography?
I mean, for my own photos, she'll pop up every once in a while, but because I do mostly brand photos, it's about what the client wants, right? Yeah. But even I have a client who has a couple dogs, and most of my clients are dog people, so I'll encourage them, if that's part of like what's going to show up on your Instagram stories, it's definitely good to have a photo with them. It kind of gives you a little bit of personality, right? So yeah, she definitely shows up every once in a while. You will definitely see her on my stories. Probably every like 4 or 5 stories is just a picture of her sleeping. Yeah. So yeah, she's a big impact.
Branding, do you go to people's places, or do they come to you with the photography work for your branding?
For photography, I'm a very like custom experience person. So a lot of photographers will just kind of be like, oh, you need to shoot, and you just show up and shoot, or maybe bring to the studio. Because I'm a brand coach as well, a lot of times my brand photography experiences actually include an element of both. So we usually have like a 1 hour planning session before the photography session. And then we pick locations that will suit the person specifically and the audience that they're trying to go for. So maybe that means that they're going to their own home, or maybe they have an office. A lot of my clients are like us that have home offices. So if they have a nice space that they want to share, we will photograph there. Some people will do a couple studio shots. A lot of my clients are really into like helping their clients feel grounded. So we'll probably go in nature, and we really try and create this like 3-dimensional person. I am not somebody who's like, let's just shoot in the studio at this specific location. That's not branding photography to me. That is just kind of business portraits, right? And so we are trying to tell a story through these photos so that it connects with the audience. So yeah, most of the time it's going to be on location. That being said, sometimes people do come here because I have one of those bright white kitchens. And so sometimes it just works to come here, right? But for the most part, we're on location.
Oh, great. Yeah. So you're using a lot of technology tools as well, right? So can you share with us what type of technology tools you're using?
Probably for every day. I mean, my computer's an iMac. It's purple as well for the obvious there. Okay. Right now I have my Yeti microphone. Headphones are always good. I find a lot of times I will wear headphones if I don't want to be distracted because we are at home, right? App-wise, I'm a photographer, so I use Lightroom for my editing and Photoshop. I also have a graphic design background. That's why I'm in branding. So I do have the whole Adobe suite. Don't use it very often. You'll usually see me hanging out on Canva. And then my favorite social media platform is Instagram, but I'm on Facebook almost as much. And then I dabble a little bit in LinkedIn and Pinterest. Right. I kind of know all the things, but yeah, those are probably the everydays. And obviously we're on Zoom right now. So that's a common one.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Some of the more uncommon ones that I love to tell people about are Fathom, which records your calls and then does like a transcript of them. So that's a free app. I use that almost daily. Yeah, it's good. You should check it out. There's lots of like AI note takers and stuff, but it's really useful if you're doing any sort of like call where people would want the notes after. And then I like using Evernote to kind of keep track of all my ideas and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, those are probably the main apps and technology that I use every day, other than a camera. Right. Obvious.
Yes. Yeah. And do you have any specific routines that you do, like daily or weekly? Is there some routines that really work for you as an entrepreneur working from home that you feel, I mean, obviously, I would say checking in with your partner every day has become a routine, but how about anything else?
Yeah, I think one of the things I really just love is that morning walk. That I feel really clears my head. And then, just kind of checking in with myself at least once a week, just being like, okay, like what am I working on? What are the goals for the month and those kind of things? Yeah. I'd say it's definitely more like daily routines versus like weekly or anything like that, right? I think just that morning routine seems to work quite well. And I also like to stay consistent with more on a monthly basis, like a monthly meetup that I host. I was going to ask you about that. You mentioned that you run some networking groups. Is that what you do? Yeah, so I love, like, my passion is connecting people, which is why, like, when you put this out there, I was like, oh yeah, I love connecting with people. And so I run an in-person networking meeting once a month. That's free. I live near Vancouver, so lots of people show up to that. We usually get about 10 to 15, and it's just super casual, just talking about business, that kind of thing. And then my mastermind is a paid thing. And then I have a new community coming up, which is going to be kind of like for basically it's to build your personal brand. It's very low. It's going to be very low cost. And it's just basically here's some tips in building your personal brand, some community. We're going to have like a Zoom call where you can get some feedback on your personal brand. And then also like connect with other entrepreneurs who are on a similar journey as you. And then you also will have access to a lot of DIY content. So like I have a course on like choosing your brand colors with intention, all that kind of stuff. So that's really what I'm working on right now. So it's really all about bringing people together and building personal brands, right?
Wonderful because I love it because as entrepreneurs, working from home, we're completely isolated, and you really have to make that effort to connect with others. And I love it that you're part of Mastermind. You have your own networking group, and setting up this new one sounds like it's going to really be wonderful because you'll be connected in a lot of different ways, like face to face as well as online, which I think is important for entrepreneurs. Sometimes we want to sit in the office and maybe get on Zoom and not really get out and about, when I think that's really important. For me, I make an effort to have coffee with somebody at least 2 or 3 times a month. And I think that's really important as entrepreneurs.
I totally agree, especially if you work from home, because we think that we're connecting with people all the time over Zoom, which we are, but nothing beats that like in-person full body experience.
Yes.
And so even if you're in businesses is entirely online, I still suggest there's so many networking groups out there, like go connect with people face to face. It's also one of the best ways to actually get clients, because even if they're not somebody who will be your client, because there's just that like being in each other's physical space, it just creates a better connection. And then those people are going to be more likely to refer you, right? Like working through your network, right? Yeah. And so if you need some encouragement to get out of your house, like let that be it, right?
There's nothing like eye-to-eye contact,
yes.
with somebody. There really isn't. I totally agree with you. I love that. Let's talk a little bit about professional development. How do you continue to invest in your own professional development and actually fit it into your busy life, right?
Yeah, that's always the hardest thing. There's always the like cliche, I bought all these courses and I didn't finish them. I definitely, right. So I'm in a mastermind myself. That's like I'm a hypnotherapist, like that's part of my business coaching. And so I joined this mastermind last year that helps really hypnotherapists grow their business. So even though that's not my entire business, it's just a mindset piece of my business. I love the way the coach runs his mastermind, and he's very supportive. I actually model his value-based stuff more than anything. So that is where I learn a lot of just daily how to run a business, how to build a community type thing. And then I do invest in one-to-one coaching. I just invested in that right now. So I've got a few sessions myself. And then I like to listen to, I'm not a big podcast person, but I'll listen to a couple podcasts. And basically, I just love learning, and you just try and shove it in anywhere you can, right? And I think that's the hugest thing. If you want to move forward faster, it's investing in other people as well, right? Because even if you're really good at what you do, having somebody have that outside look of your business is like huge. So that's usually the best. And then I like to do a lot of personal development too. Like, so just being mindful of what my mental health's like. So investing in things like counseling, that kind of stuff is, I think, equally as important as growing your business.
Mm-hmm. Right. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. And fitting it in is the key, but I think it's an important part. And it's part of self-care, basically, isn't it? Really. And do you have any specific self-care activities that you do for yourself?
Yeah, so I'd say like walking in nature is probably the biggest one. I also, a big mindset shift for me was not making time for like mindfulness or self-care or anything is actually part of my job. So like, I think that going for a walk every day is part of my job, right? Because a lot of people I find are like, oh, I can't fit this in. I can't fit this in, right? So I really find that that's like just really part of my day. I love to swim. I love basically just trying to get active in one way or another, I think is my biggest self-care. And then even just if I'm feeling kind of overwhelmed, taking a step back and just going through my own processes, I do a lot of self-hypnosis. That's really big for self-care. And my husband and I love to eat out, so that's kind of like our date time, and I find that that's really just kind of ends the day nicely for a lot of times.
I know that's going to be so helpful. I can't, say that enough, that you really have to schedule these things, put them on your calendar, make sure you are doing something for your own self-care, especially, we feel like there is so much to do and we feel like we have to get it all done, but we'll never get it all done.
No, definitely not.
Realize you have to take a break. You have to take a breather, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Or get yourself a dog that bugs you and she'll take you outside in the sun all the time.
That's true. I'm considering that.
Right? Yeah. She's always like, Mom, it's sunny out. Can we like go stand? So I just stand out there with her for like 10 minutes and force self-care there, right?
I love it. Yeah. Okay, so the big question that I ask everybody is, how do you maintain a healthy work-life balance, especially when you're working from home in your own space?
Yeah, so I think that's kind of what we've touched on, is like really scheduling in. Like for me, it's not work-life balance. Like this seems like really weird to say, but my work is my life and my life is my work. Like my life supports my work in the way that like the flexibility is important to me, but then also purpose is important to me. So that gets me in the office, right? And so it's really being that self-aware of, even though they blend, it's like, okay, for me to be my best self for my clients today, I actually need to schedule an hour in here to rest or have a nap or something like that, right? So yeah, I really feel like that's maybe not the best approach, is that like not having those clear boundaries, but for me, that's always been how I thrive the most, and really respecting that I do love my work, right? But then saying like, okay, but to love my work also means to have space for my work, right? So it's just, it's really balancing and checking in. It's just a lot of check-in points. How am I feeling, right? I used to just try and think my way through work-life balance, but now it's just checking in and being like, how am I really feeling? Like, I have a headache? Okay. Or I'm getting a little snippy. That means I need to walk away, right? So I'm not somebody who will keep working if they're feeling like, I'm now disservicing my clients, right?
I love that. I think that's so important. I think that is great advice for entrepreneurs working from home, because it's one of the biggest challenges everybody has, is fitting everything in and balancing out life. And, I don't think there is a perfect balance, but we can try. And, I heard the term harmony is a better term.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that.
That work-life harmony kind of thing.
Yeah. I also feel like you need to have a separate office space. Yeah. So like I've got a couple of people I know who like work from their kitchen table and their kids are running around and stuff. And it's like, you really like, that made a huge difference for me. So our old home that we lived in, my office was like part of like our guest room, and it was like right beside our primary bedroom. And now it's like we live in a 3-level townhouse. This office is on the bottom floor. Nothing else is down here except our garage and to go outside. So I really feel like at the end of the day, when it's like, 4 o'clock, I can step away, and I'm not tempted to walk back into my office as easily. It still happens. Sometimes I'll get an idea and I'll run downstairs. But for the most part, I think that's really, really important if you're talking work-life balance, to be able to shut the door on your work. Right?
That is great advice. I totally agree. It's being able to have a separate space. And some people thrive, but most of the people that I've talked to, everybody usually says that having that separate space is great.
Yeah.
Well, Stef, thank you so much. I'd love you to share now a little bit more about your work and how you work with people and how people can connect with you.
Yeah, sure. I'll keep it brief. And before I start with that, I just want to say, I love that you have the red glasses on and the red shirt. And it's just like, I love how that comes together. I feel like that with my purple and my purple shirt, we've really balanced that nicely.
Right? Red's my thing, my color.
Yeah. I noticed that. So I was like, yes, on brand, right? So segueing, I am for the lack of a better term, the blanket term is I am a personal branding coach and photographer. I really, really focus on the mindset, image, and implementation of your personal brand. So the very first thing is mindset. So a lot of times when people are thinking about personal branding, they're thinking all the pretty stuff, which I help you get there. But a lot of times I'm working with people, how do you think about yourself in the world? What's the things stopping you? What are your limiting decisions in making money and even showing up, all those kind of things, right? So we start there and we build a brand up from that. I'm very intentional with everything. Even your brand color needs to have intention behind it. Mm-hmm. And so the way I work with people in that capacity is I give a lot of free information on my Instagram, on my email newsletter, and I have an upcoming free community I'm about to launch. And then that segues into the paid community, which is a lower cost thing that you can still build your personal brand with. This is for the entrepreneur who has started their business, but is looking to kind of make it more impactful and show up and learn how to show up and learn the value of a personal brand. Mm-hmm. And then from there, you step into maybe a mastermind setting, which is for the entrepreneur who is already got a personal brand, but they're looking for that community that support those biz besties that have got your back to bounce ideas off of, and you're not worried about them stealing it or anything. It's just really strong community. Yeah. And then, of course, I work one-to-one. So I do lots of intensive brand coaching. So let's get your strategy straight. Let's figure out who your soulmate clients are. Or let's even figure just like an intentional brand color. And then, or we take things into the mindset side of things and we break through those biggest limiting decisions you have. And that's where training such as NLP and hypnotherapy comes in. So it's a very multifaceted experience. And of course, the cherry on top is I do brand photography, which brings all of this knowledge, and you get fabulous photos that actually feel like you instead of a stale studio experience. So that's in a nutshell what I'm working on these days. Literally the best place to hang out with me is on Instagram. I'm sure you can put a link there, but it's the Violet Stef, and that's Violet is in color.
Yeah, all the links,
right?
That's in the description below for sure. So people can I can't wait to take a look at all.
Right? And you can always check me out on my website. And then I'll also give you a link for one of my favorite guides that I have. It's a free guide, is the only 10 branding photos you need. So I like to bust through this myth that you need hundreds of branding photos to create an impactful personal brand, and you don't. So I go through the 10 that you could use on your website, your social media, how to use them, where to use them, and how to be the most impactful, so that when you are hiring a photographer, obviously not everyone can hire me because they don't live near me, then you know what you need, right?
How do you work with people that don't live near you? Do you work with people like in the States and in other parts of the world?
Yeah, so photography is only like maybe a third of my business. So that's usually just for locals. But when it comes to coaching, I have coaching clients all around the world. Right. So, I just was coaching with somebody in Australia. So I stay up a little bit later and they get up a little bit earlier. So
I know that. That's where I'm from.
Yeah. So you're in Hawaii now, though, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in Hawaii.
Yeah. So you just make the schedule work. But when it comes to photography, I only obviously I focus on locals. I have gone like other places. If somebody really wants to fly me somewhere, I can't work in the States just because it doesn't allow the cross border, but like across Canada and other countries, definitely. But mostly it's the coaching aspect. And even if somebody like wants really, really impactful brand photos, sometimes they hire me for the coaching aspect of it. Then we pick a photographer that's local to them, and we give them a few like ideas walking into the session. Great. So I've done that quite a few times. Yeah.
Great. Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Okay, this has been so wonderful. I know that a lot of my people that are watching, or the audience that are watching, they're really going to get a lot of tips from you today. Thanks so much. Stef. Okay.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And I can't wait to share this video. And thank you again.
Don't you love how Stef fits having an accountability partner into her daily routine? That's pretty powerful. She just doesn't coach entrepreneurs on their branding, she lives it daily. And I enjoyed hearing how she described her workspace as a reflection of her vibrant purple brand, a space carefully designed to make her feel confident and inspired every time she shows up online, and how every element in her office is thoughtfully positioned for easy access, ensuring that she's always prepared to take action. And what about Stef's passion for connecting with others? It shines through in just everything she does. Plus, her love for continuous learning ensures she carves out time for mindfulness and self-care, which keeps her energized and balanced. And that's my question for you today. How much time do you carve out for mindfulness and self-care? Share it with me in the comments below. Stef is truly an inspiring example of how to build a thriving business from home without sacrificing your well-being. And her environment keeps her grounded and focused. And that level of discipline and attention to detail is what makes her such a strong accountability partner for her clients. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. Don't forget to subscribe for more interviews coming up in this series, and I'll see you on the next video.